He's someone who is known to speak his mind, especially on the most contentious of issues. And even as Tamil Nadu is rocked by protests seeking that the Supreme Court imposed ban on Jallikattu be revoked, joining us live now is Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. Welcome to India Today. Thanks very much for speaking to us, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
Let me start by asking you, Sadhguru, what do you make of what is happening across Tamil Nadu right now? Have you ever seen something like this in the state, where people are turning out voluntarily? And these are not politicians, these are students, they are office goers, these are people who have an earning, their bread to earn, yet they are skipping office and college and they are sitting there on the streets.
So I think this court order, probably the parties concerned did not present themselves well in the court, and this court order has come. We need to understand, first of all, in the very beginning you said a bullfight. This is not a bullfight. This is a celebratory kind of atmosphere. This is a festival. This is the only festival dedicated to the animals. This is the Makar Sankranti in the rest of the country is called Pongal in Tamil Nadu. There is a day on which there is a Matu Pongal, that is for the beasts which work on the land. Because in the agricultural community, the animals are seen as partners in the making of what happens. They work for it and they get a share of their, harvest that happens in many different ways. So there has been a long-standing partnership, a relationship, because we are an agricultural society. Even today, 65% of the population is agro-based population. And suddenly this court order comes taking away a fundamental festival where the taming of the bulls was what it used to be in the ancient times, but now generally you don't have wild bulls like that, but still that is being enacted in a certain way. There is no bullfight here. This is not Spain, this is not Sevilla, where bulls are killed on an afternoon. Half a dozen bulls are slaughtered in
exactly.
these
So the traditional way of how this was supposed to be practiced is what you're describing, Sadhguru. But from the evidence that was produced before the Supreme Court, and there was video evidence of this, the actual practice is far from what has been prescribed. You've got animals who are agitated, made to stand for long hours, and if I just quote from what the Supreme Court had said, they are made to move from side to side, they have got chili rubbed into their eyes, their anus, poked with sharp objects, all of this is done. So an animal which is supposed to be revered is actually being tortured. How can the practice be condoned then?
See, there is always abuse in every aspect of life which must be controlled. There must be probably norms and laws to take care of this. Actually, traditionally there are norms as to how a bull should be treated. Unfortunately, today a few people might have misused it. But based on that misuse, you can't take away an entire culture which dates back to nearly 5,000 years in Tamil culture. There are paintings in Nilgiris, in the caves, where the Jallikattu paintings which are like 4,200, 300 years old, there are carvings which are nearly over 4,500 years. This is an ancient tradition which is a part of this. This is about also preserving the genetic pool, because through the Jallikattu only the winning bulls were used for breeding in the past, and even today it is being done like this. Now you ban Jallikattu, they're all queued up, in thousands they're queued up for slaughter. And how is slaughter more humane than playing with them? This rubbing chili, poking this and that, this unfortunately people have done. We have to contain that. But this does not mean
Sadhguru,
that
evidence has shown, evidence on record has shown that this practice could not be contained. And it's not the odd bad apple that we are talking about. According to the statistics presented, you've had scores of human beings being killed. So it's not just a violation of animal rights, but also human rights. Several more being injured, and practically every year you've got hundreds of animals who are left bloodied, if not dead.
See, we had over 120 varieties of local breeds of cattle in this country. Today only 37 are left, because there is no usefulness to them. One thing that is saving the Kangeyam bull, which is unique, which people from across the world are coming and taking this genetic pool to their countries because they find it very unique. It produces A2 milk, which has immense value for human consumption, and the bulls are of great value. Now we are sending them straight to the slaughterhouse. I don't see people who are slaughtering animals and eating them up, how they can talk about being humane to animals when people are just playing with them. Somebody doing unnecessary things with the animal, this can be stopped very easily. I have watched any number of Jallikattus and this doesn't happen in most villages. In some places where they got over-competitive about this, they have done bad things, it must be contained for sure. An animal is not supposed to be treated like this. Above all, an animal who is a partner in the making of our lives, in the making of our crops and food, definitely does it deserve to be treated like this.
So Sadhguru, let me just turn that around, what you said, and turn that question around to say that the option given to this animal is either he be tortured or be sent to the slaughterhouse. So if you really want to preserve a breed, doesn't it seem a little hypocritical that this is the only choice available to the animal?
That's fine, Padmaja, but the reality of the country is we cannot preserve something unless it has some economic value or some social value. This has both economic and social value. Otherwise, you will make these breeds go extinct. From 120 breeds that we had just about a century ago, today we have 37. How long do you think it will take for this 37 to vanish? It's going to happen very fast. Now at least they are breeding and taking care of this. The best thing is to put clear-cut norms, make the local administration get involved and ensure that that kind of torture does not happen to the animals. This can be done. You can't just take away something that's there with the people. The youth of the rural youth, what are they supposed to do? Till you provide them with football stadiums, boxing rings, gymnastics and the works that a youth needs, till then, please don't take away Jallikattu, because that's the only sport they have.
So you would agree that the kind of treatment meted out to these animals, which results
as embracing,
which results in them being injured, is not what was originally prescribed. Do you at least support the most stringent of action against people who behave in the manner which leaves animals injured and dead? Because what happens usually is that in practice, the police turn a blind eye, because again the whole tradition argument is thrown at them. So animals get tortured and the police let these people go. Make an example out of these people at least.
No, it is very simple. If we empower the local panchayats or the district administration to make sure, because this is a festival where everybody is involved, to make sure that certain norms are set, the traditional norms. You don't have to set new norms, because the traditional norms are concerned about the bull, because after the Jallikattu, the bull is prized. It is supposed to breed, it is supposed to work, it is supposed to be the heroic bull in the village. It's not to be killed. If it dies, it's a tragedy that they wouldn't want, because a person who rears the bull has invested so much in it. About a few youth getting injured, and maybe sometimes death has occurred, but if you want to take away all adventure from youth, what is it? You're going to preserve them in a cold storage in the end?
No, because Sadhguru, this is not about adventure, and this is not me saying it, or this is not a political party or a rights activist saying it. It's the court which has found merit in the argument that there is mistreatment, ill treatment of animals, ill treatment to the extent that a ban was imposed.
The rights activists, no, the activists are experts in doing court battles. Farmers are not experts in doing court battles. That's all the difference is.
But Sadhguru,
they've done a good job of presenting themselves. These people did not do. Above all, there are bad apples. We have to clean them up.
Number of instances were given of video evidence, and in fact we'll also pull up some of those visuals which were submitted by PETA to show that torture of animals takes place, and this goes on for several days, sir. How can you then say that it was only a matter of bad representation by one side?
Why don't we take a widespread No, no, no. Why don't we take a widespread video footage of thousands of Jallikattus which happen across the state? You will see nothing like this happens. In some places they got over-competitive, there is too much betting involved, money involved, so people got meaner and meaner with the animals over a period of time. We need to stop that. We need to just make it celebratory as it always was and as it still is in most of the villages. Only in a few places around Madurai this has happened that people are betting a lot of money, so they started doing all kinds of unfair things to the creatures.
Okay, so there at least should be better enforcement of the law, there should be better policing. Let me ask you, Sadhguru, as a observer of society, this issue has been hanging fire for several years now. How do you explain, or what do you think has led to this massive outpouring of youth, not just from rural areas, where you will agree primarily this sport is practiced, but urban areas? Suddenly people have taken to the streets. What led to this?
See, it is not suddenly, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Every year there is Jallikattu where millions of people participate as spectators, and it is hugely admired, the strength and the bravery that is needed to be in this Jallikattu, and you suddenly ban it, so people are out on the streets because yesterday was Mattu Pongal, I think. So, yesterday or day before was Mattu Pongal, and they don't know what to do with the festival because this is the main part of the festival. So, they are on the street. It is very natural. It is a natural, organic outcome. It is not an organized thing. As you said, it's not a political party, it is not activists, it's not some group. It is just people, because millions of people have been participating in this, and if cruelty is happening, we need to control that. We don't take away the fundamentals of our culture.
What do you think should be done next? Are you also a votary of the centre promulgating an ordinance?
We have not taken sport to… About? Oh, permitting it?
Absolutely.
I don't know how they can do it because Supreme Court has given this order. I think a re-representation should happen in the court. I do not know the procedure by which it happens, but anyway the festival is passed now. By next Pongal, there must be proper norms to ensure that this kind of cruelty that you mentioned does not happen. But I know these are isolated cases, these are not widespread, but it has happened mainly because of involvement of money, where people are betting against the bulls and against the youth. So, once money gets involved, corruption comes in and people have done ugly things. We should see that it doesn't happen. I'm sure 12 months is substantial time to do that. Anyway, nobody is going to do Jallikattu in the month of February or March. It's only in the next January that it's going to come. Before that comes, it must be cleared. You can't take this away otherwise. I'm telling you, if you pass this kind of judgments, now you are setting up a norm in the country. Even if Supreme Court passes a law, you can ignore it and do what you want. This is not a good precedent for the country as a whole.
So you're saying that an ordinance would actually set a bad precedent. We should wait for the Supreme Court to pass judgment on this issue?
No, I am not an expert on this. Either the government or the court itself can decide this, but I think 12 months is enough time to come up with some solution.
Let me also ask you about some conspiracy theories that are doing the rounds. You know, when we saw these reports coming in from Chennai, from Rameshwaram, from Madurai today, there were these whispers about how there is a conspiracy to try and deny people a centuries-old tradition. Do you buy into any of this, Sadhguru?
There is an agenda in some places, definitely. See, the strength of the culture preserves certain things in the population. There are some vested interests who don't want this strength to exist in the culture. This is active everywhere, this is not my opinion. This is active everywhere, and it's very important. The strength of the culture is maintained because for the rural youth, without a cultural strength, there is no heart in them. If you take away the cultural strength of a society, believe me, they will fall. See, I'll tell you one thing. This happens in Tamil Nadu every year. Now January they want to participate in the time of Makar Sankranti, they want to participate in Jallikattu. You will see the drinking habits of the youth will go down. for at least 2 months, because they want to be fit, they start running, they start exercising, they start doing this. So I would say it is better, every month there is a Jallikattu so that people are not drinking, people are wanting to become champions in their sport, and the sport itself can be controlled once it is happening in an organized way. And what is wrong with people playing with the animals that they work with? Because
who have worked against
animals
Jallikattu,
are
in your
not seen
opinion?
as animals in agricultural society. I think it's one thing is there is a certain misunderstanding, because people who live in cities, they ride motorcycles and cars, they don't understand people who ride bulls. People don't understand the relationship between humans and animals unless you live in an agricultural society, because you must understand in most homes, the animal stays with you in the same home that you live. They're not somewhere else. So there is such a constant and active relationship. This is not understood. They are only… these are Western values just being superimposed upon us. These are transplanted ideas without understanding the local realities.
So NGOs like PETA who are campaigning against Jallikattu, do you think that this is part of some larger plan, some larger design?
I don't think it's such a large plan, but definitely you have to examine where the funding comes from. What is right… See, for example, in when this festival that happened in China, where Chinese people are eating dogs, American activists are going and protesting in China that you should not eat dogs, we love dogs. Okay, we love cows, will you stop eating cows? So every culture has its own intricacies. You have to respect that for what it is. But if there is active cruelty happening to the animals, definitely it must stop. Whoever thinks in ancient times people were cruel to animals and now we have learned this, they are completely wrong. In ancient times, people clearly understood that animal is an active partner in their livelihood. Nobody treated them badly. It is only now, because we think animal is just to be eaten or to be made into shoes or handbags or whatever, we are thinking on those lines, we are looking at everything as a product or a commodity. But this is not how this culture understood. We never saw animals as commodities. We saw it as a part of our daily life and economic activity, and there is an emotional bond with that. And you must see how these bulls are taken care of, with how much love and care it's taken care of. It's the Formula 1 for the rural youth in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, since you brought up this entire, the Chinese dog-eating festival, that analogy, just taking it forward, a lot of people have also pointed out the hypocrisy about how on the one hand there are voices against slaughter of the Govansh, and on the other this sport, which does involve cruelty to members of that Govansh, is supported. How do you reconcile that, Sadhguru?
I'm telling you, there is no cruelty large scale. It has happened in some places, that must be stopped. About Govansh, let us understand this. One thing, if at all, if we can call any great achievement in this country, one great achievement in this nation is, we have somehow managed to produce food for 1.2 or 1.3 billion people with almost no infrastructure, ramshackle infrastructure, no technology. Our farmers have done this. In this, the partnership of the animal is big. But now we think we can produce food out of tractors. This is not going to happen because we are killing the soil. More animals on the land is most important for saving the soil and saving this nation. It's very, very important.
Okay.
Now, there are many ways to save the animal. It has to have some economic value, it has to have some social value, it has to have some entertainment value. All these things add up to having more animals on the land. If you don't have animals on the land, believe me, we are going into this in a big way. I don't want to go into the scientific detail of it, but in India, largely the soil itself is dying. We call this soil as Thai Mannu, that means it's like our mother, but we're killing our mother slowly because our very source of food is slowly dying out, mainly because we've removed the animals. We must understand this, the animals slaughtered in this country are not consumed in this nation. India is the largest exporter of beef. That means what should have enriched your land, you are sending it to some other nation. This is a crime. This has to stop.
All right, and also what is a crime is the cruelty to animals that happens, according to Sadhguru, only in stray cases. So better implementation of the law, better enforcement of the law, but the tradition should not be stopped only because of a few bad apples. Sadhguru, thank you very much for having spoken to us here on India Today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.